Music has a place and a purpose in all of our lives, whether it's to wind you down, perk you up, or to allow you a few moments of escape. It all adds colour to our existence. I, on my journey to work every morning, as you can hear, listen to music to energise me before my workday, and it's a part of my routine. And LORDI, of course, is my favourite choice. The stories behind the songs we listen to and the people behind the music are very seldom spoken of, and that's why today, when we talk about LORDI's fifth album, Babez for Breakfast, we want to analyse why this album is a fulfilment of intention and what is its place in the rebirth and evolution of LORDI as a band. You're listening to Season 2 of Monsters of Rock, The LORDI Story, a true metal podcast production. I'm your host, Matthew Kessie, and this is Episode 2, Babez for Breakfast. LORDI's fourth album, Dedic, as previously discussed in our last episode, was a period marked by changing perceptions of the band and by the Finnish media and public shunning the group. Something special was needed then by LORDI for their follow-up. Not necessarily something that would appease those critics, but rather an album that encapsulates everything to do with LORDI, both in terms of sound and lyrics. An album that would eventually begin a renaissance for the group. And that's where the journey of LORDI's fifth album began. That journey begins in the most unlikely of places, the home of country music, Nashville, Tennessee. LORDI, in the spring of 2010, headed to Nashville to work with legendary producer Michael Wagner, a man who produced and mixed essential rock and metal albums like Alice Cooper's Constrictor album and Metallica's Master of Puppets.
He was the first guy who promised to deliver what we were after. Okay. And he was the guy who was not ashamed to produce that kind of a sound that I wanted to have.
Right.
And he's the guy who actually did that. You know, he fucking earned his fucking millions of doing those fucking albums. Just a few decades, before, earlier. So, it was a fucking dream team for Babez. I mean, because that was like exactly the guy that we needed. I mean, he understood exactly what this band was made out of musically, because he did those albums, yeah. Just excluding Kiss and Twisted Sister, but pretty much everything else. I mean, he did it, yeah. And he did the sound. I mean, he did. I mean, he's, for God's sakes, he's the producer of Alice Cooper Constrictor album, yeah. Which was my first album that that didn't have a single bad song on it. That was one of my life-changing albums for me, and still is. And he's the producer of that, and that album is actually done by three three people. It's Michael, and it's Alice, obviously, and then the guitar player Ken Roberts. Those three guys actually made the album. Yeah. So I mean, you know, and then there's Skid Row, there's Extreme, there's like fucking Ozzy. There's a long list of these albums that were influencing me and many other band guys in the band. You know, he knew what he was doing with us because he knew that was his comfort zone. That was his fucking cup of tea. That's what, you know. So, and I was so fucking happy when finally we got the sound that I wanted us to have all along, and this was also an introduction to somebody who was sort of like a real producer.
This feeling was echoed by Eamon as well.
Nashville time, it was great. It was really great. And, you know, it's after Dedek we started to think about who should be a producer, and I started to look at my albums, that all my all-time favorites, that who is the guy behind those, and then Michael Wagner name came out all the time, and I'm like, why don't we try that guy? And it just happened.
While LORDI were recording Babes for Breakfast, all the members of the band lived together during the recording process, something which helped cohesively perfect that 80s sound that they were looking for.
The thing that struck me when we were in Nashville was, you know, they're clowning around a lot in a cool way. Like, they have these inside jokes going all the time, and it's really healthy. It feels really healthy, because I've been in bands before, like I've been on tours that were, you know, as a guitar player, that were like tough to be on because people weren't getting along in the band. You know, this band, everybody gets along pretty well.
Tracy Lipp also gave me an example of one of the band's inside jokes. Unfortunately, though, the phone connection wasn't great during that part of our interview. However, he said that the band would refer to a YouTube clip of rally drivers Marcus Gronholm and Timo Rautanen, where they have to stop their circuit as the stone goes up through Timo's seat.
What's going on here? Oh, someone's screaming. Timo's in agony. You can see him lifting himself out of the seat. What on earth has gone on?
We have to stop because it came some stone or something through Timo's seat, up in the ass of Timo. Something through Timo's seat, up in the ass of Timo. We have to stop because it came some stone or something through Timo's seat, up in the ass of Timo.
Tracy said that the group would just say "up the ass of Timo" in quiet times to get a laugh out of each other. And these moments, along with a platinum-selling producer in Michael Wagner and a cohesive grouping, allowed LORDI to create the ultimate LORDI album, Babes for Breakfast. Every LORDI album has key aspects or traditions which tend to carry over from previous albums. For example, new costumes, modified logos, thematic references to other songs. However, there is one which we have yet to discuss, and that's the traditional opening track, SCG, or Scartic Circle Gathering. And of course, I know every LORDI fan out there knows that it isn't always at the start of the album, but there's always one included.
I mean, for me, it was clear that when LORDI puts out its first actual real album, and it's gonna be a heavy metal album, it's a heavy rock album, it's a traditional 80s fucking classic rock album.
Yeah.
So all these good, cool fucking albums with this style of music, they have a cool fucking intro. I mean, I'm talking about, starting with Kiss Destroyer has a cool intro. Some Alice albums have cool intros. There's King Diamond has fucking cool intros. Wasp has Inside the Electric Circus intro. Twisted Sister has come out and play intro. So there was no question about it that should there be an intro on Get Heavy. Fuck yeah, there should be, and there was. And the name Arctic Circle Gathering is Arctic Circle, of course, and just to play of words there. But I didn't think that much of it at the time. It is just just to set up the mood for the album, that it gives you the horror theme, classical sounding horror movie melodies there, and it's like so it just set the mood. It's like the opening credits for the movie or the album.
These intros, or atmospheric tracks if you will, have been a staple of Lordi's albums ever since their debut in 2002. And since then, they've evolved with every iteration, and one voice which is affiliated the most with these days is Ralph Ruiz.
Nowadays, it's already for the past few albums, it's me, Ralph, and Tracy who are thinking about it, and we are writing it together, the whole idea and all the whole concept. And now it's funny because it has, like, slowly but surely it has come to the whole the process of SCGs is something that nobody else even knows what the fuck we are doing. They just know that there's gonna be an SCG, but it's all me, Tracy, and Ralph who's doing that.
You might be wondering why we are talking about SCGs now, 5 albums into Lordi's story. But on Babes for Breakfast, Ralph debuts as Dr. Ruiz in the birthing scene of Baby Lordi.
Okay, she's fully dilated. Nurse, 150 milligrams of Demerol.
Honey, you're doing great. Breathe, baby.
Okay, what I need you to do is push.
Okay, honey, push. Push. Shut up!
Doing real well. I can see his head. Just one more push.
Oh my God! What the hell is that?
God, get out of the room! That came about, same deal. I was out on the road with WWE. This was the first time they were recording in Nashville. So this was in February, between February and April of 2010. Thank God for Wikipedia, because that's where I've got all the info up right now. Yeah. So we're staying at this house that was rented in Nashville.
Nice.
And they're recording at Michael Wagner's studio, which of course I've been familiar with him because of his work, Metallica, and a whole bunch of other bands, Alice Cooper and stuff. So we're in the studio, and Mr. Lordi tells me the whole concept of the album, and he needed a voice for the Doctor, and that was the first time he goes, "Would you be interested?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" That was the first time I was involved voice-wise on an album.
Okay.
So, we're sitting there in the studio, and he's like, he's giving me the whole rundown. This is what's going on. Baby Lordi is being born, and we need someone to play the Doctor. I'm like, okay. So I do the voice, do the whole thing. We had the husband, who I think was Tracy Leap, who's also been involved with Lordi for many years.
Yeah.
Usually background vocals, also helping with enunciation of Mr. Lordi's English, making sure that, when he's speaking English, the words fit the language, and, just make sure that it's enunciated correctly.
Yeah.
So he's been involved. So he did the voice of the husband, and we had a woman, which I don't remember her name. came in to do the pregnant wife. And then once that was done, I came in and I did the voice of the doctor.
With Babes for Breakfast fully recorded in the summer of 2010, LORDI embarked on a summer festival tour across Europe. The band even debuted the first single off the album, This Is Heavy Metal, at Masters of Rock in the Czech Republic. Then, on the 10th of September that year, Babes for Breakfast was released. But, while this might have seemed at the time to be a regular release schedule, that was just about to change. Robert Burns, the 18th century Scottish poet and writer, once wrote that the best laid plans of mice and men often go awry, and that saying couldn't be more fitting to this period in LORDI's history. Let me explain. On the 18th of September 2010, LORDI played a release gig in the Nosturi Club in Helsinki. This gig seen the live debut of LORDI's new costumes and also some tracks off Babes for Breakfast like Rock Police, which you're listening to right now. It was during this time that LORDI were putting together the Europe for Breakfast tour. However, one individual's plans would lead to a dramatic change for the group.
During that, I would say late summer or something, or was it even like the summer time still? I mean, he kept calling me like hey, you have time? And I was like, well, I'm actually I'm doing groceries at the moment. So, no rush. Then okay, let's call later. Okay, and then I tried to call him, and something else happened. And then for weeks and weeks and weeks, he had something that he wanted to talk to me, and have a long talk.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I'm okay, but then every time when he asked that, okay, are you in a good place? I mean, are you doing anything special? I was not necessarily doing anything special, but I remember, for example, at one time that I was at my friend's place and I was kind of bored. And I actually went outside to have a smoke, and I was like, yeah, I have time. But he said, yeah, but if you're, well, let's call tomorrow. And, and we didn't. And then it was this one infamous fucking Wednesday evening, 10 o'clock in the evening, he calls. And I'm at my summer cabin at the cottage, and he calls me up. And he is like, because he is very confident guy, and I was like, this is so weird, because he's like swallowing there and coughing, and like, what the fuck is going on? What's wrong with this guy? Like, spit it out. What's the problem? And then he's like, so I don't know where to start. I was like, yeah, go on. What's going on? And he's like, well, and we just released the album.
Yeah.
And I think we played two shows. I think we played two shows. Yeah, one on the boat, like a rock cruise thing, and one in Nosturi in Helsinki. I think we played like two of these things. And we were just waiting for to go on tour, which was about to start in 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. Okay. And he's like, yeah, well, okay, how should I put it? So, okay, tomorrow they will release the new artist for the Finnish Eurovision, competition. I'm like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, and I'm like, okay, I don't follow, yeah, and he says, yeah, and I'm like, no. When I realized, he said, yeah. I was like, no, dude, no, what the fuck? And this was the thing that he wanted to tell me for weeks and weeks and weeks, but he didn't have the courage, because and his excuse, of course, was that I was not in a good place, to have that talk.
Sampsa Astala, aka Kita, had long been a part of another band, even before LORDI, going by the name So and later Stala and So. And it was in the summer of 2010 that Kita felt the pressure to choose between both groups, as Stala and So entered the Finnish qualifiers for Eurovision 2011, and LORDI were just about to embark on a Europe-wide tour.
Well, of course, it wasn't easy, and it was, and everything happened so like in like few days. I needed to do because there was Stala and So guys who were looking at me. Okay, are we doing this or are we not doing this?
Yeah.
And then it was only me who needed to do the choice there. And of course, I knew that if I go there, they will kick me out from LORDI. And then that was my choice. And of course, afterwards, the whole situation, everything, they should have been much like how should I put this, kind of like the way it went, it wasn't nice, from my point of view.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I didn't have so much time to do the decision. I need to do it today. So what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do the Eurovision with Stala and So, or then I will forget the whole Stala and So band and stay in LORDI. So that was basically that was the choice, and I need to do that in hours, the decision. So it was pretty weird.
And I guess that must have been a stressful time for you then, because you had such good friends in LORDI, and obviously you had friends in the other band as well, and you're sort of sandwiched in between them.
Yeah, that is true. And at the same time also, we had some lineup changes in Stala and So as well. So then, of course, there was those members who were leaving, they got angry at me as well. So everyone was kicking me from here and there. But that's sometimes how the things go. And you need to, if the punches are coming, then you need to just get them.
Yeah.
You can in life, you can't just be smooth to everyone, and you need to do some rough choices, and that's what happens.
Following Kita's rapid departure from LORDI, some of his relationships with the band's members changed, while others remained the same.
Well, as you know, I mean, we're very good friends with Kita, ever since, and we sorted our ways like that night, that evening. I mean, there's no hard feelings. There's never been no hard feelings between me and him. I mean, we've always been friends, but that's not to say that it would apply for the rest of the band or the lineup at that moment. Those two guys, Kita and Eamon, were the party boys. They were the couple. Those were the best friends within the band and within the crew. Those two guys, Yeah. And so I guess Eamon felt like betrayed of what he did, So
we shared the hotel rooms and everything. So we were all the time together. So it was like totally things changed after that. So yeah, of course it is. It's crazy. It's it's crazy. You don't want to have phone calls like that.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's very true.
So yeah.
And did you stay in contact with Samsa much after he had left?
No, I haven't. No.
And was that?
That's a pity, but
Okay.
So we were I don't know. We were like band friends, if that's the word.
Okay, so you're just friends because of the situation you're in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was a funny guy.
Yeah.
Had a lot of fun, and yeah, it was perfect.
Yeah.
So.
With Kita thrown out of LORDI and on his own path with Stala and So, LORDI had the daunting task of finding a new drummer with 3 weeks left before their European tour. That eventual new acquisition would come in the form of Otus, a drummer who would reshape the sound of LORDI.
So this happened on Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay. I think on Friday, Heta, this journalist, said that I would have a replacement for Kita. Really? Yeah. And he's got Tommy. He's a great fucking drummer. He would be willing to do it. I said, all right. I called him, and on Monday, the the next Monday, he was in the band. You know, that was, I mean, all it took was like one long call, and I, and I started immediately. I mean, I flew back to Helsinki. I met him. I knew his references. I knew his fucking
backstory.
Track record. I mean, it's like, okay. I mean, he's a virtuoso, and not only on drums but on fucking bass. And I mean, he was a musical mastermind. I mean, he was like light years ahead of anybody else. I mean, musically as a player on any instrument than any of the LORDI members, any others, at that time. And so it was no question about it. And then I met him when I physically met him for the first time, we started doing his mask and makeup, which was done by freehand because there was no time to take a mold of his head and stop sculpting and stuff, because I mean, the time was like very tight. And then so within 4 days we had a new guy.
The guy who made us think that we can write more, like, we don't only have to do basic hard rock songs, that we have now we have a chance to write more like more heavy metal based on songs. You know what I'm saying? It's like he was like a musician. He was weird, but he was like amazing musician. And I was really excited about him, because I never, as much as I spent time with guitar, and we did something together, but it was more like composing, and something was always like behind Pro Tools or something, and we started to write music together.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit different what I'm after here. I mean that I was with Otus. That was the first time in LORDI when I really started to feel like I really want to jam with that guy. I want to take my guitar and he plays his drums, and I'm sure we will deliver like killer material like that. Of course, that's a songwriting as well, but more like a jam sessions.
I've written all kinds of material, and there's a lot of these double kick drum songs after that. I mean, from after Babez, there's a lot of that stuff and more technical metal stuff. It's not the thing that I invented or founded that music at that time. It was just because, and this is the thing, because guitar couldn't play that stuff. The reason why those kind of songs were not selected on any of the albums were because, I mean, there was the weak link behind the drum kit there that he couldn't play that. Yeah. And it's just a physical fucking restriction there that you how can you do this? It was kind of like with Magnum. I mean, it was like he just couldn't do it. So he was more like a Peter Criss style of drummer. He rocks and he keeps his fucking tempo and his stuff. But if you ask him to do anything like very like metal style drummer, it's not gonna happen. He's not that kind of a guy. It's the same thing that you ask Eamon to do like play it in a metal way and really sharp and do a fast right hand guitar like it's not gonna happen. He's not that kind of a guy. Yeah. He's not from that school. So it's not it's nothing to put down Kira's playing, because I mean he's an awesome drummer when he plays at when he's in his comfort zone. But yeah, that did hold me back, and in a way it held back the band also, because the stuff that I was writing, there were already demos that I wrote, and I knew that okay, this is not going to work because I mean our drummer cannot pull it off. Yeah. So when Otis joined the band, fuck yeah, I mean we had to calm him down sometimes during the shows, because I mean he would do these insane fills and insane kick drum patterns there that the rest of the band we didn't know where the song is going anymore, because he was like just in the transition, in the end of a verse, going to the pre-chorus, and he would do. Like weird fucking jazzy metal feels, and the rest of the band we dropped like completely like on the floor, like what? Where are we? Where's the one? Where's 1, 2, 3, 4? Where's the fucking beat? And he would do all these cool shit, but then he would, dude, you have to calm down because we are not as advanced as you are. We lose the tempo. We don't understand where we are. I said, okay, sorry guys.
LORDI embarked on the Europe for Breakfast tour with new drummer Otis in tow. But this touring cycle wasn't to be as long as previous ones, as in the following year in 2011, Mr. LORDI was set to join a Finnish TV music contest called Korrosota. On this show, LORDI conducted, arranged and sang with a choir composed of people from his local town, Rovaniemi. The songs that they covered included Would You Love a Monster Man, Michael Jackson's Thriller and Kiss classic I Love It Loud, along with many others. Eventually, LORDI's choir would end up finishing second in the competition. And we will hear more about this show in a future episode, as during this time a very controversial documentary about LORDI was being filmed. But we'll cover that along with this topic when the time comes. In late 2011, with that season of Korrosota concluded, LORDI were set to begin on a new album in the new year. But on February 15th, 2012, Mr. LORDI's birthday, LORDI's best laid plans were about to be altered yet again, as it was sadly announced that Tommy Nilman, Otus, had suddenly died from an undisclosed rapid illness.
So it was Valentine's Day when I got a call, and once again I was at my cabin at that moment, and I remembered I was heating up the sauna at that moment, and Otis's grandma calls me, and I knew I had this fucking weird feeling, and I saw that she's calling, and I knew that this is not good. And I just spoke with Otis on Saturday evening. I think this was Tuesday when I got the call. Tuesday or Wednesday when I got the call. Yeah. And what happened before was like on Saturday evening I was writing new stuff, and writing new songs for the upcoming album, and at the same time Otis was just finished with his was just finishing the work on the Ska Archives, because he was editing the very first LORDI show for that, so he was doing that. So he called me on Saturday evening. He had a few friends over, and he was a bit drunk, but it was okay. I mean, it was like, yeah, what you doing? Yeah, I'm working here, and well, let's call tomorrow then, and talk about this DVD thing or whatever we were doing, and yeah. So let's go Sunday morning. Yeah, okay, yeah. Dude, have fun. Take it easy. Yeah, sure. Bye. All right, cool. And then I forgot. I mean, the next day, I mean, he didn't call me. I was like, well, okay, maybe he has a hangover. Probably he does,
Yeah.
So he has a hangover, and I didn't think that much of it. At the same time, there was another friend of mine who actually they needed to loan our rehearsal loft, and the only way was that they would call Otus and go and get the keys from him, Yeah. And on Monday maybe it was already Sunday evening when I got a call from a friend. Said, well, we cannot reach your drummer. that he doesn't answer. I said, "Oh, sorry. Yeah, and you needed to go to the rehearsal. Sorry." So, well, he was drinking last night, so probably. Sorry, he's probably sleeping his hangover. So, sorry about that. And then on Monday, I think on Monday there was another call also, like they were asking that, hey, we still cannot reach him. I said, well, it's him that, But when I got the call, when I saw that his grandmother is calling, and I think it was Tuesday, I already knew. I remember, picked up and said, hey, and the first thing she said was, Konami is dead. And I said, fuck, I fucking knew it. I felt it already before I answered. Like, yeah. Now he finally did it, So, well, and I was like, and this is, I'm being honest here. I mean, of course, I'm sad when somebody dies. And of course, I get, shocked. But I'm a selfish person, so for me it was like, okay, well, he's done now. He's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Whenever somebody does, I mean, they don't feel no pain anymore. They don't have any. That's it for them. The game's over. But I'm still here. Yeah. So I mean, it takes me. For me, it takes like 1 minute, to come over somebody's death. For me, it's like that. It's like, okay, fuck. All right. So I started calling the rest of the band guys. And Eamon particularly took it very hard, and Ox too. I mean, they took it very hard, but Eamon in particular, he took it very hard, and he said that so this is it, and everything is going to be cancelled, and we need to clear our calendars for a year. That this is I mean, this is how he was coping, and this is how he copes with death. Yeah. But I'm complete opposite to that. So I said, no, okay, I let you grieve in peace, and at the same time I started looking for a new drummer the very same day. Yeah. So, and it's nothing. It's not a disrespect to the guy, who just passed away. But I mean, it's I don't see how that's disrespectful. I mean, the guy is fucking gone. He's dead. It's like how does it help anybody to for me not to continue living? How is it anyway helping anyone?
As Mr. LORDI said there, not everyone felt the same as him following Otis's death, as Eamon wished for the band to go on hiatus for a while.
I didn't want to move on. No, I was like, now we need a break. And that was maybe my point when we talk about, was I tired during the headache, or was I like after Wacken, was it 2008? Yeah. Was I like, I'm done? Not like that. I still had super fun during the headache and babes for breakfast, but maybe like then the feeling, well, yeah. That was bad. That was really bad, and I wanted to have a break right there, like when he passed away, okay. And I couldn't believe that other guys were like, no, we can't. I'm like, what do you mean? Of course we can. Now let's have 6 months break right now. I need it. And we never had it. We still haven't had it. So nice. I wanted to be in the band, but I didn't like how the things were. Like, somebody died and you guys don't stop. I'm like, I still don't get it. If someone, even Otus wasn't so close to me, because I've been knowing him by then, like, I don't know, a year or two or something. Yeah. So he wasn't so close to me, but still, I think I was surprised that we didn't stop everything for a moment. Yeah. And that was a big mistake.
While Otis was in the band for little over a year, his legacy can still be felt to this day, as his heavy-hitting and virtuoso style influenced LORDI's direction for the future, moving from a hard rock sound into a heavier, rhythmical route. LORDI's intention after Otis's death was to get a new drummer for the summer festivals coming up. This new drummer came in the form of Jimmy the Hammer, who was solely known in LORDI as the drummer and was given a temporary costume and name.
We started looking for a new guy, and there were options and stuff. And then Jimmy, I mean, he quite a bit older than the rest of us, and but he was drummer in legendary Finnish band Iron Cross in the 80s that I was a huge fan of.
Right.
I mean, that was my favorite fucking Finnish band of all times, and still is probably. You know, it's an awesome. So I kind of knew the guy, and I called him, and he said, I don't remember if he said yeah immediately, but he said, well, within the first day at least. I mean, he called back, yeah, I mean, okay, cool. And I only knew him from, you know, being a fan of him, you know, so it's a bit different thing.
Dynamic.
So when he got into the band and stuff, so I mean, he's such a funny guy, but once again, kind of like Sebastian Bach. Okay. He's like so full of energy that well, let me put it just this way, that his energy level was something that the rest of us just couldn't fucking handle. I mean, the energy level is just like 160% all the time. So as for the rest, I mean, I know that in years he's physically he was the oldest guy, but definitely he was the. I mean, if I call myself a little kid, but he really is. Jimmy is like, and I say this in a positive way. He is a fucking. He's like a pre-teenager. Right. He's so much full of energy, and he wants to play all the time. Yeah. And I mean, you know, he wants to be active, and he talks all the time, and there's not a silent moment with him.
Unfortunately, Jimmy's time in the band was short-lived. There were plans to have him revealed as their official new drummer, and he would have been a rat or bat-like critter creature called Peto, which means beast. His short amount of time in the band came down to both his mixed chemistry with the group and also an incident in the first gig LORDI had following Otus's passing.
I told him like please, play it low key. There's not gonna be a drum solo. Don't throw sticks to the audience. Just play and just be there like you're unnoticed. You know, just, you know, don't make a number out of yourself. But he couldn't help it. I mean, he did everything in his power what he could do to make a very big number out of himself on stage. Okay. And that was exactly what I asked you not to do. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got carried away. Yeah, sorry, so sorry. It won't happen again." And the next show he does the same thing. Right. And he just couldn't, you know, restrain himself. And it was like, and after the festivals, you know, it felt like, oh my God, this is not. And some people in the band got like already like angry at him, like not to him, at him, like physically, but behind the scenes there were like people who were like there was fuses, you know, coming out of their ears. You know, they were like, oh, I'm gonna explode, because I mean he just wouldn't behave, and he just wouldn't do what he was asked to do. Okay. I mean, he did too much, you know. No. So, yeah.
Jimmy was eventually let go from LORDI due to these actions and his lack of camaraderie with other members. At Simmerrock 2012, he played his final gig with the group. However, that would also prove to be the final performance of another member of LORDI. But that is for next time. But before I leave you, there's one thing to ponder. This period in LORDI's history proved to be the starting point of the band's renaissance and rejuvenation. And it's important to remember that every song and every album you listen to, whether it's in your car, your phone, your tablet, has a story behind it. And with each new album comes a step in a new direction. And LORDI's next destination was in part thanks to Otus.
Monsters of Rock, the LORDI story, is a true metal podcast production. The show is presented, produced and written by Matthew Kessie. Head to True Metal Pod's social channels to keep up to date with the production.